Part 2. Then we had Carlito and Primo versus Priceless in a non-title match, which of course means that Priceless are going to win. There's still no undisputed tag belts. Don't know what that's all about. Are they going to separate the belts later? Who knows? The idea, the story behind this match is that Priceless are going to send a message to Triple H, Batista, and Shane McMahon about how good they are for the main, in preparation for the main event at Backlash. And I think it kind of achieves that, because I don't think I've ever seen Priceless look this good. I always thought Ted DiBiase was the talentless one and Cody Rhodes was okay, but actually watching this match, Cody Rhodes is definitely the talentless one. He did 2 scoop slams and an abdominal stretch. Hogan could do that, still, even at this point in his career. And Ted DiBiase actually did quite well. He did sort of dragon whip leg takedown, and then he did kick to the face, and he did some other moves. It was all rather good. Basically, Priceless do look quite strong from this match. The heels dominate Primo for a bit, and then Carlito gets the hot tag. Carlito does some of his moves. He does that springboard back elbow drop to both members of Priceless at the same time, which is good. Yeah, the match ends when Carlito goes to the top rope, and DiBiase pulls him down on his head onto the ropes, and then Rhodes does the crossroads, and that's the end of the match. It did what it set out to achieve. It made Priceless look good. Carlito and Primo don't look too weak because the heels had to cheat to beat them. So yeah, it was a good match. The other good thing about it was this was sort of a good self-contained match, in that even though there was a promo by Randy Orton afterwards, it didn't seem like it was a match just leading up to this promo. It seemed like the match stood up by itself as a, as a good match. But anyway, after the match, Rhodes and DiBiase are beating up Carlito and Primo, and the fans start booing really heavily, and I'm like, wow, Rhodes and DiBiase have finally gotten over with the crowd. They finally care what they do. But no, then they pan to Randy Orton coming down the aisle, and I'm like, oh, that makes more sense. Orton delivers basically a pointless promo in which he talks about the match at Backlash and talks about how he could win by count-out or disqualification, which suggests to me that that may well happen, and he may well get the title on a disqualification or a count-out or something like that. But yeah, that's basically all he says in his promo, which is fair enough. Good match. Anyway, the main event of the night was a stretcher match between Matt and Jeff. Todd Grisham was making out that this was something historic because there had never been a stretcher match on SmackDown before, but that's just because they don't do stretcher matches anymore. Yeah, and also they've introduced these new rules. I think these are new rules. You have to incapacitate your opponent and then push them up the ramp on a stretcher till you cross this weird yellow line. And I'm like, it was like a school sports day or something. It was like an egg and spoon race. It was just the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. Maybe like a wheelbarrow race. Anyway, yeah. So those are the new rules. You have to push them over this yellow line, in short. This is a good match. They've now done 2 good matches against each other, which I'm glad to see. Basically, once you add a stipulation, these guys can do it. When you don't add a stipulation, there really is a debate about whether they can. Jeff does a suplex to Matt onto the stretcher, and Matt hits the metal part of the stretcher that looks like it hurts. Then we get, they sort of trade their build-up to finishing moves. Jeff does that suplex where he lifts them halfway, then throws them down on their face. Matt does the side effect. Matt also does a new submission move, which is sort of like a grapevine and a double underhook, which JR calls a unique version of a sleeper. No, it's not. Anyway. Yeah, there's a cool bit where Jeff rides the stretcher down the ramp and then does a crossbody, and then there's another bit where Matt tries to run Jeff's head over with the stretcher, which was also good. Basically, the ending is that Jeff's got Matt beat, he's lying on the stretcher, Jeff goes up top for the Swanton Bomb, and Matt Dodd gets out of the way, Jeff lands on his back on the stretcher. He fights for a little bit, but he can't get up, and then eventually Matt just hits him with a chair and gets him over the line and wins the match. Now, I like the way this feud's being booked. I like the fact that Matt's won the 2 matches, and I like the way he's won the 2 matches, because as I was saying before, it's not plausible for Matt Hardy to beat Jeff Hardy by being a superior wrestler. That just would make no sense within storylines. However, the idea that Jeff Hardy's beating himself, that he beat himself in WrestleMania by trying that big leg drop, and that he beat himself here by doing the Swanton, he took one chance too many. That's a good way of booking this, and I thought that was the best bit of booking at WrestleMania, and it was well booked again here. Just one note, during this match, Grisham once again messes up commentary when, you know that move that Jeff Hardy does usually in ladder matches where he jumps off the top rope, tries to hit one end of the ladder so the other end will bounce up and hit the guy in the face. Well, he does that with the stretcher in this case, and Grisham thinks that Jeff Hardy has botched it basically and overshot Matt Hardy. So he starts saying, "Oh, he's overshot him there. Maybe it's that brain damage from the beating he took at WrestleMania that's caused him to do this." And I'm like, Grisham, that was supposed to happen. So Grisham assured that he would not be getting a job as a top play-by-play guy anytime soon. Also, why is SmackDown not live? Because they don't edit out the bad things. Like when Grisham botched that, and when Teddy Long did that horrible promo, they didn't get rid of those. Why don't they just make SmackDown live? I don't get it. It looks much worse when it's taped and they mess everything up than when it's live and they mess everything up. Anyway, that's just a final note. All in all, good episode of SmackDown. I hope this continues. Now, the next review is going to be Monday Night Raw, and me and Bobby, like all good tag team partners, have split up, gone our separate ways, gone to our singles career. I like to think I'm the Jim the Anvil Neidhart of our partnership, and Bobby is going to do the Raw review solo. So tune in for that. Feel free to rate this video, to comment on it, to ask questions, and subscribe if you wish. That's pretty much all I've got to say. I probably won't see you till TNA next week, so bye.